Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda, where I help you master your mind before you master your money. Now there has been some big news from the recent CARES Act, and I spent several hours reading the entire 880-page CARES Act, and there's some big news here for us, and that'll help us combat this recession that we are in. There's free money with 2 small business loans. Now, in case you're thinking, well, I don't have a small business, I have news for you. If you're a sole proprietor, if you're someone who has a single member LLC, or if you've had any business of your own where you're responsible for negotiating with other vendors or hiring contractors and paying people, you could qualify for this. And even if you don't, there's some amazing content in this video. I'll teach you how you can get 0 mortgage rates for the next 180 days. Now, this does not mean that your mortgage will be waived completely. It means you will stop making payments for the next 180 days. So let's jump right into this, and I'll tell you what this is about. I'll first give you a summary of the content in this video. There are 2 small business loans that you absolutely must be aware of. There's the economic injury disaster loan, which actually gives you a $10,000 forgivable advance, which is mind-blowing, and you need to rush to get this. And there's also the Paycheck Protection Program, which essentially gives you a forgivable loan. Get that, a forgivable loan if you use it within your employ, if you use it to pay employees, if you use it for payroll, if you use it for rent, for utilities. It is just mind-blowing that these programs are available, and we need to take advantage of them because these are available for a limited time. And as far as a 0 mortgage is concerned for 180 days, this is a program called mortgage forbearance. So let me quickly give you an overview of the mortgage forbearance program. I alluded to that briefly in one of my other videos, but the mortgage forbearance program is essentially 0 mortgage rates. You're basically not paying your mortgage for up to 180 days. In fact, let me show. Now, here's the interesting thing, okay? I'm going to read directly from the PDF of the Affordable Care Act. Upon receiving a request for forbearance from a borrower under subsection B, the servicer shall, with no additional documentation required other than the borrower's attestation to a financial hardship caused by COVID-19, essentially not charge any fees, penalties, okay, and provide, and this is the key part, forbearance up to 180 days with an additional period of up to 180 days. That means you can not pay your mortgage for up to 6 months and then request them that you don't pay your mortgage for an additional 6 months. Just unbelievable. Now, in order to take advantage of this, you have to have what's called as a federally backed loan, meaning a loan from Freddie Mae, for Freddie, Fannie, Ginnie Mae, USDA, VA, and so on and so forth. So the thing is that you need to talk to your bank and confirm. I mean, if you got your mortgage through a credit union, it is federally backed. So step 1 is to confirm that you have a federally backed mortgage. That would be step 1. Step 2 is you have to understand how the mortgage applies to you. So if you're in a single family home that's 1 to 4 units with a federally backed mortgage, all you have to do is attest, affirm, or simply say you have a direct or indirect hardship, which we all do as a result of COVID-19. So all you have to do is attest to that. Now, if you've got a multi-family, let's say an apartment building, then it's 5 or more units. The rules for that are different. There's more documentation. I'm going to stay focused on 1 to 4 units, which is townhouses, condos, apartments, homes. So if you're in a single family home and you have either direct or indirect hardship as a result of the COVID crisis, which we all do, then you qualify for forbearance. This is the key phrase here. You qualify for forbearance. Now, this doesn't mean you go, okay, I'm going to stop making my monthly payments. This simply means that you now apply for forbearance to the bank. Now, if you apply for forbearance, the bank is required to get back to you, and as long as you attest that you have some sort of a limitation, the bank will actually say, all right, your mortgage, you are now in the forbearance program. So what you need to do, step 1, apply for forbearance. Step 2, once you get approved for forbearance, which it's easy to get approved, all you have to do is say that you have hardship. Maybe you lost your job, maybe your other sources of income have dried up. And then what the bank will do is the bank will come back to you and say, okay, you're approved for forbearance. Now remember, you've got to get some sort of confirmation from the bank before you stop making payments. Maybe you get an email from them. a fax from them, perhaps you get a letter from them. Once you get that letter and you want them to state in that letter that they will not report late payments to the credit bureaus, they will not charge any finance charges or late fees. Once you get that in writing, you can now stop making your payments. Now keep in mind, if you are already current with your payments, which I'm hoping most of us are, and then you apply for forbearance, you stop making future payments and it will not, should not impact your credit. But if you're already late with your previous payments, then it may still continue to be a late payment. So just keep that in mind. So assuming that you're current with your federally backed mortgage payments and now you apply, you should be able, once you're approved for the program, to stop making future payments. That's incredible. And the reason I call this a zero mortgage or zero mortgage rates is, think about it. You're not paying your mortgage. By the way, the bank might say 90 days forbearance, just take it. And then before the 90 days is up, ask them to extend the forbearance period. Now, by the way, the CARES Act says you can have 180 days and then an additional 180 days. Now, that's incredible because let's say the bank just gives you 90 days. Take it, ask for another 90. At the end of that 90, ask for another 90. And at the end of that 90, ask for another 90. Now, the reason I say it's a zero mortgage rate is you're not paying principal, you're not paying interest for this period, which is just unbelievable. Because now at the end of the forbearance period, the bank will probably try and say, all right, give me back all the money. You should negotiate with the bank to ideally let them pay you all those payments at the end of the loan, thereby extending the loan by 1 year at the very end. That would be the best. And that would mean that you essentially make these payments, but not now. You make the payments several years, 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the road, depending on when you got your mortgage. You must negotiate with your bank to let you do that, because when you do that, again, this YouTube channel is about mind over money. When you do this, you're using your mind, you're holding on to your money, and you're essentially extending the payment, which is what you should be doing. Always remember one principle: today's dollars are more valuable than tomorrow's dollars. The reason I say that is, as time goes by, money loses its value because of inflation. Something that costs $3 today costs $3.25 tomorrow. Let's say you're making X amount of money today, next year you'll make a little bit more money because you got a raise. So you're going to fundamentally, all else remaining equal, you're fundamentally going to make a little bit more money and spend a little bit more money as time goes by. Fundamentally, because of inflation, money loses its value. In fact, if you have $10,000 in your bank account today, if you leave that money there doing nothing, 17 years from now, that money will only have $5,000 of purchasing power. Why? Because what you can buy for $10,000 today is going to be costing much more, which is $20,000 17 years from now because of inflation. So 17 years from now, your 10,000 will effectively be today's 5,000. So money loses value. So if you can get this forbearance and then convince the borrowers, either by submitting an online form or submitting some sort of a formal request to them in writing, don't just do it in person, do it in writing, and you get them to extend your loan at the very end, that would be phenomenal. And guess what? Banks are making tons of money. They have been making tons of money. Back in the 2008 financial crisis, they were a part of the problem. Today, they are a part of the solution. You have to push for it. You have to ask for it. Now, the CARES Act talks about the forbearance, but the CARES Act doesn't talk about how you pay back the money, because that's between you and the lender as far as the federal government is concerned. So what you should be doing is apply for forbearance, get the forbearance, and then once you get the forbearance, what you do is you turn around and you say, listen, I want you to extend the life of the loan. I want to pay this money off at the very end. That would be phenomenal. So as far as loan payback options are concerned, definitely negotiate with the bank, because everything's up for negotiation. What you negotiate for is what you get. Mind over money principle right here. What you negotiate for is what you get. I want you to subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be giving you tons and tons of life principles, life ideas on how you can master your mind and money over the coming, in the future in this channel. So definitely subscribe to our channel. You'll get a ton of ideas that'll help you with mind over money principles like these. I call these mind over money principles. So we talked about the mortgage. Let's now talk about the two small business loans, okay? The Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is available on the Small Business Administration website, is extremely simple to complete. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan is a loan where you can ask to borrow money, okay? And the interest rate will be 3.75% spread out over several years. But here's the kicker. As soon as you apply, you'll get a $10,000 loan advance, which will be forgiven. These are actual words from the from the Small Business Administration will be forgiven. So just for the action of applying, it will be forgiven. I'll teach you how to apply. And then there's the the Paycheck Protection Program. The Paycheck Protection Program allows you to borrow money from the federal government at 2.5 times your monthly payroll. 2.5 times your monthly payroll. Now, there are some maximums. So one of the maximums is a maximum of $100,000 per employee. So let's say your monthly payroll, if you're in a small business, I'm going to throw out a number, is $10,000. You can borrow as much as $25,000, and as long as you use that money for covered expenses such as rent, payroll, utilities, that money will be entirely forgiven, and those loan payments are deferred for the first several months. So just think about this. If you are a company with multiple employees, and now all of a sudden you've had to follow them, you've had to let people go. For that matter, if you've been unemployed, your employer, talk to your employer, tell your employer to get the Paycheck Protection Program, because the money that they get from the Paycheck Protection Program actually comes right back to you. So if your employer gets, by the way, if your employer gets the Paycheck Protection Program and they don't pay you, they have to pay that money back to the federal government. So if your employer gets the Paycheck Protection Program, which I'll tell you about the program in just a minute, and then your employer then pays you, okay, and then you do some sort of work, obviously, for that money, work from home, or there has to be some way, there has to be some economic exchange, obviously. But if your employer pays you, that money comes back to you. Think about it. The government would prefer to do this as opposed to have unemployed people applying for unemployment. The government would prefer to do this as opposed to have unemployed people not being able to pay their rent. The government would prefer to do this as opposed to as opposed to people in the country not being able to buy food. Think about that. That would cause social anarchy. That is not what the government wants. The government fundamentally does not want to house people, does not want to feed people, because it's a huge burden. That's why landlords who own single-family residences like myself, we can just get forbearance. That's why business owners like myself, we can get the Paycheck Protection Program, because now when we use the money legitimately, which we will, the money comes back to employees, which is phenomenal, which is a good thing. Now, let's talk about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And one more thing. These are the two links, and I'll put these two links in the video, below the video down here, so you can access these two links and get more information from the Small Business Administration website. But these are extremely simple. And there's some documents as well pertaining to the Paycheck Protection Program that are going to be extremely valuable. I'll provide a link to those documents in the video description as well. But here's the bottom line. If you have many employees, the Paycheck Protection Program is something you should consider and jump into right away, because there are certain deadlines that are in place, and the faster you apply, the faster you'll get in line. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan can work for you if you're a single owner LLC, if you're a sole proprietor, if you're a one-man show. Let's say you're working from the basement of your house doing, I don't know, printing t-shirts. You can apply for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and get the $10,000 loan advance. Just unbelievable if you think about it. Really quick, I'll show you how to apply for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and then I'll walk you through some documents for the Paycheck Protection Program. One more time, if you like this information and you like all these mind over money principles, I urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll get a ton of updates. You'll get some phenomenal content, and it'll be my honor and my privilege to be able to communicate this to you and to be able to get you all this cutting edge information on time. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just go down there and hit the subscribe button. It takes you 1 second to do, but it gives me, by the way, I look at the number of subscribers subscribing every 15 minutes. So if you do that, it gives me the motivation, it gives me the energy, it gives me the enthusiasm to continue creating this kind of content for you. So please, 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 please subscribe. All right, now let's talk about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Here I am on the Small Business Administration website. This is not a good image. I mean, look at that image. I'd rather see an image of a waterfall or a beach or something. But when you click on the link right here at the top, and by the way, I provided this link in the description, you come to this page, and all you have to do is complete this page, get all the way to the last page. You check a box that says that you would like to be considered for the $10,000 advance, and you get the advance. This is something that will be forgiven. Speaking of forgiven, here's an email that I actually got from the Small Business Administration. There's a screenshot of the email. We know you're facing challenging times. That's the first paragraph. Now read the second paragraph closely. This is an email from the Small Business Administration. on March 27th. This was signed into law, including the opportunity to get up to a $10,000 advance on the economic injury disaster loan. This advance may be available even if your EIDL, which is the economic injury disaster loan application, was declined or is still pending, and will be forgiven. So all you have to do is take 5 minutes to apply for this. It takes less than 5 minutes. By the way, I have no idea why they say it takes 2 hours and 10 minutes. It doesn't. It takes less than 5 minutes to apply for this. Apply on the last page. They'll ask you to check a box. And again, this is available to a business with no more than 500 employees. This is available to an individual who operates under a sole proprietorship with or without employees or as an independent contractor. If you have ever received a 1099 from anybody, you can apply for the economic injury disaster loan. If you are a one-man LLC that doesn't have any employees, that all you do is hire a bunch of independent contractors, you can apply for the economic injury disaster loan. What's the Paycheck Protection Program? The Paycheck Protection Program is ideal if you have a lot of employees. This is a document that outlines just basic information about the Paycheck Protection Program. It provides small businesses with funds up to 8 weeks of payroll costs, including benefits. Funds can also be used to pay interest on mortgages, rent, and utilities. So if you are in a business, you run a business, you've got multiple employees, you've got your rent, your commercial rent, that's where the Paycheck Protection Program is. Look at these beautiful words: fully forgiven. Funds are provided in the form of loans that will be fully forgiven when used for payroll costs, interest on mortgages, rent, and utilities due to likely high subscription. That's because there's going to be a whole bunch of people applying. I don't want you to get into the semantics of it. I want you to apply. I want you to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. I also want you to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program. The idea of the Paycheck Protection Program is that employees must be kept on the payroll or they must rehire quickly. So all small businesses are eligible. This is an incredible program that I think all of us should apply for. I would encourage all of you, please, to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program. If you have any questions, type them out in the comment section below. If you want me to do a more detailed video on the Paycheck Protection Program, please subscribe to my channel. Please type in the comments below, and then I'll make another video for you folks. I appreciate you all. Remember, mind over money, mind over money. We will all get through this together. Let's stay strong, and we'll all come out on the other side of this together. So, in summary, number 1, apply for mortgage forbearance. Number 2, apply for the economic injury disaster loan if applicable to you. Number 3, apply for the Paycheck Protection Program if you've got a bunch of employees and if you're concerned about making rent. Just great stuff all around. Let's do this. We'll get through this together. Thank you so much.